Hello everybody. Welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour episode. Again, I've just lost count at this point. I'm here with Amanda, also known as Strange Mentality Paper. I gotta mention something real quick before I let you introduce yourself. I thought for a minute there it said Strange Mentally Ill Paper for a while.
Wait, did it?
No, it didn't. I just misread it. I guess.
Oh, no. It's Strange Mentality Paper. My, long time ago, back when Tumblr was huge, and I was first starting, I couldn't think of a username, so I hit the suggest one, and that's the one that came up. And I was like, oh, I really like that. So Strange Mentality Paper is what it is.
I guess that worked out for you then. Yeah, we've been chilling for a while there for a little bit. We actually did a collab video not too long ago.
We did.
Yeah, that was fun. So how you doing this today? I know you're a teacher, so thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm sure it's very busy.
No problem. Yeah, I'm doing well. It's the week of parent conferences, so a little draining, but it's alright. Happy to be here. This gave me something to look forward to.
Well, that's good. You also run a YouTube channel called Strange Mentality Paper on YouTube. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's kind of about the same quality my channel. It's very minimal editing.
Yeah, I hate editing and I'm not good at it. So a lot of it is just talking head, me in front of the camera. I use Clipchamp, which is what came with the computer. I finally figured out how to use that, but yeah, you're not going to see a lot of captions or fancy anything on my channel because I am bad at editing and I also don't want to edit, so there's that.
That's fair. I mean, I do edit a little bit, it's just I'm really lazy and I don't want to, so I know how you feel.
Yeah. And I sit and stare at a computer pretty much all day, every day, so it's like more squinting and like being really careful about where I place things. And it's like, oh no, it'll be fine. I'm getting a little better at it though.
But yeah, you run a YouTube channel. You run you've written some stuff. I read some of your stuff. I liked it. And, I have to say, real quick, I guess the first thing I could say is that, you kind of have, you're a little spicy. You got a little spice on the YouTubes.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe it's the red hair. I don't know. But, yeah, I do definitely have a way of annoying people or making people angry. Maybe it's a time and place thing, or, I don't know. My social skills aren't as bad as they come across in YouTube, but yeah, there are lots of YouTubers who don't like me very much.
Yeah, no, I saw your video talking about like harsh reviews, and there's you, and then it's just you in sunglasses.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that mine. Oh yeah, I made that one back in June. I loved that one. Those were actually 3D glasses.
Oh, they were.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. I thought they were just sunglasses.
No, they were 3D glasses.
Where'd you find those? You just found them?
My brother grabbed them. My brother has autism. We went to see, actually, Kiki's Delivery Service, which is the only anime I've ever watched in my life other than Pokemon. And I was babysitting my brother, so I took him to see that, and he just grabbed the 3D glasses, I guess not knowing it was a 3D movie, and just kept putting them on during the movie just because he liked them. But he has autism, so he doesn't know better. But yeah, those were
that's fair.
Over from when I went to see a movie with my brother.
That's fair. Us Aspies tend to really be interested in weird things. So
yeah, he's low on the spectrum though. I think he's what they call level 3 now, nonverbal.
Oh, that sucks. I've known some people who can't. I've known of people, and I haven't actually met them, but I know of people who are like who can't really speak or do anything of that sort.
Yeah, that's my brother. He appears in my channel at a vlog where I go to Special Olympics in the Left Behind vlog, where I read Left Behind for Easter. So if you want to see my brother, he's in there playing tennis wishing for a gold medal. He literally says he's getting bored, and he's like, medal, medal.
Well, wait, how old is he?
He's 27.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what are you? Did your parents have you when you were like young or something? Because
No.
aren't you like 30?
I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
I still get mistaken for a student all the time, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I walked into a classroom and was like, I need to go to the book room real quick. It was a classroom next to mine. I hear some kid go, "Oh, she's a teacher." Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, you little spicy on the booktube. So why'd you start a booktube channel?
I began. Okay, my booktube journey is kind of embarrassing, but I began.
Hey, no shame here. No shame here.
I actually watched a bunch of ASMR videos because I do experience ASMR, that like tingling in your scalp that goes down your neck,
Oh
kind of
yeah.
into your shoulder. So I do experience that, and I do get it from the videos. So I was watching ASMR videos, and my favorite like ASMR roleplay, some of them are like in a bookstore where they tell you about your favorite books. And through that, I think the first booktube channel I discovered was Perseus Project.
Mm-hmm.
A girl in New York, really fashionable, pretty girl in a nice apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So I found her, subscribed to her, then ended up on Mike from Mike's Book Reviews.
Oh yeah. I know of his channel.
Yeah, and then Murphy, but I'm very sensitive to sound, and Murphy's voice kind of grates on me a little bit. It's a me thing.
Wow,
It's
you're just throwing shade at the very beginning.
I know. It's one of the reasons I don't really like audiobooks either. It's like very hit or miss for me because I'm just really sensitive to sound. In fact, I have to wear like earbuds in movie theaters sometimes. And we just had a pep rally, and lucky for me, I had a headset.
Oh, that's
in my
good.
backpack, so I put on like the big headset so that I couldn't hear the screams that bad.
Wait, so do you
I
have?
love Murphy's content.
Oh.
I love Murphy's content. I think she has great. I think the production quality is great, but oftentimes I will put it on silent and put closed captioning. But that's just a me thing. So Murphy, and then Daniel Green. I think she did a collab with Daniel Green, and I found Daniel Green, and through there I was just like, I want to do that. I always review every book I read. I write a little bit. I discovered AuthorTube, but quickly moved away from AuthorTube because there always seems to be a lot of drama on there.
Yeah, I know. I found. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I found you did it. I thought it was funny. You did a collaboration with Reads with Rachel. We were talking about it the other day, and I'm like, dang it! I've been trying to get her on my channel, and I haven't been able to reach her. But I don't want to repeat that conversation. But
she's been difficult with her logins. So if anybody watching has been trying to contact Reads with Rachel, she's been having trouble with her social media logins.
Fair enough. But yeah, I found her channel, and my God, there's so many like indie authors throwing hissy fits on. There's so many authors behaving badly. I'm like, how hard is it to be nice to people, man?
Oh my gosh! Speaking of the authors behaving badly in BookTube, Haley. Jeez, did you see that one?
Haley? No, I have not. I have not heard of this. What happened?
This guy who writes extreme horror, which I've started to look into. I hear it's kind of like erotica, where it's like just so out there people like it. But I haven't like.
I would not compare extreme horror to erotica, but. Well,
you would not.
Well, let me think about it for a second. Maybe a little bit. I get what you mean. Like they're both like. Let's see how outlandish we can get.
Exactly, and he's an extreme horror author. I don't know his name. Maybe it's Matt Shaw. Like I don't know. I shouldn't put names out there if I don't know. But
well, don't say that. I don't want him coming to my channel harassing me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you can bleep it out. But he dedicated a book to her when she gave him a bad review, and then tried to do the whole take the moral high ground. Oh, do you want to, like, I'm willing to do a podcast with you and talk about it. And evidently he was doing this poor girl for like 7 months, and the girl didn't even know until her friend told her.
But he was stalking her?
A psychopath. He wrote like a torture porn about Amber Heard, and then called Haley, who, I can't remember her booktube name. She's a channel, she does a lot of horror and thrillers, if you're into thrillers. He called her Amber as like fantasizing, torturing her. So it's a really long video, it's really disturbing, and honestly, much more scarier than any ghosts or demons we read about. Human beings can be very scary.
Yes.
Especially incels.
Where are you saying that this author is an incel?
Probably. If you see his heart, he wrote a porn about women. So.
Yeah, no. Maybe. I try not to engage with that type of stuff, but
Oh, he's yeah. But yeah, and my other favorite of hers is the one about the guy who said he wrote the best bear scene ever. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'm afraid not.
That was the name.
Oh, yes! Yes, I do remember. I knew that sounded familiar. Man, that guy's a clown.
I loved that video.
That dude's a clown. Have you seen what he look? Yes. Have you seen that?
You blitzed out for a second, so I couldn't hear what you said before. That guy's a clown.
Oh, were you talking about Rachel's video? Is really what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Is that what you were talking about?
It's called, like, I made an author upsetty spaghetti, where he told her she had dry pussy energy.
Oh my god. Ugh. Man, I cringed when I saw that. I'm like, oh. I mean, I'm not even a woman.
I listen to her videos every now and then on my drive home. I don't have a long commute. Everybody at work says I do. It's only 30 minutes. To the people at work, that's a long commute. But when you're like me, you kind of have to drive a long way to sort of get anywhere.
Well, you have said on your channel where you live, right?
I live in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
But I moved outside of Dallas to be closer because my work, the school I teach at, is like on the very southeastern border of Dallas. So I moved to a small town that they don't really consider like in Dallas, but I just say I'm from Dallas. I spend most of my time in Dallas because I'm at work, and then a lot of times I'll go see my parents who live in Dallas too, because they pay for my food sometimes, so I'll eat dinner with them.
Yeah, no, I know. I was about to say, well, 30 minutes in Dallas is probably a really long time.
It could be. Yeah.
Because traffic over there is not great, as someone who's visited.
It's worse in Houston.
Oh, it's worse.
Traffic is terrible. I mean, maybe Los Angeles has worse traffic than Houston, but traffic in Houston is crazy. The traffic's bad. Our drivers may be worse here. People in Dallas can't drive.
Yeah, my parents used to live in Dallas, and I have visited Dallas a few times. Let me tell you, the traffic is not fun over there.
Yeah, and I love also how the roads all have two names. The highways, it's like I-35 East North, or like Northwest Highway. Well, that's really Highway 177. So you can say 177 or Northwest Highway. They're both the exact same road. And then sometimes, like, roads will change names as you cross town borders. Mm-hmm. So South Lake Boulevard, it becomes Precinct Line when you move into Keller from South Lake. Mm-hmm. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it just sounds like a pain.
It is. But I just turn on the GPS and follow the yellow brick road.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I think we have the same taste in booktubers, from what I've...
Yeah, no, I watch a lot of, oh man, like, there's some of them, like, there's some of them I wish I watched more, but, yeah, my general, I really like Jimmy, from Jimmy Nuts,
yeah.
Nutwork.
Yeah, Nutwork, yeah.
I have a bit of a masochistic relationship with Reads with Rachel.
Oh yeah.
Because like
I would agree. Yeah.
mm.
I am kind of at the mercy of the algorithm. I will say, like whatever pops up on my home screen tends to sort of be what I watch. Because also I do like to have noise in the background, so I could have like 15 videos of the same person going in the background while I'm writing and not really know who it is. And then next thing, their stuff keeps popping up on my homepage, so all of a sudden I'm a fan of a new channel.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what bugs me about the algorithm? So I unsubscribed from The Critical Drinker about 6 months ago. His videos keep showing back up on my feed. I'm like, I unsubscribed. I don't want to watch his videos anymore. Why do you keep doing this to me?
Yeah, but mine would like pop up on my screen as I'm doing something else.
What?
It would interrupt Sims games with people who I like legit don't like and don't want to be notified that they're around. Like, I just want to forget them. But it's like, oh, this person who you very much dislike and has been extremely rude to you just posted a new video. Watch it.
I know. I'm like, I wouldn't even say like The Critical Drinker was mean to me. It's just his takes are so bad. I can't even watch him anymore.
But it was like, I was like, is the algorithm taunting me? Does this algorithm want me to start drama? I will start drama with the algorithm. I think we know. I would argue with pretty much anything. I love arguing.
You love arguing.
Huh?
Yes, I've gathered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you like my presentation, my palette, I think I can be unpalatable to certain people, but once you sort of get to know me and jive with me, I think you'll find that I'm not the villain BookTube has made me out to be. I could be funny and caring and all the other good things, but I can also be very deadpan and brutally honest.
Yeah, no, I've generally enjoyed our chats that we've had.
Yes, I have too, Britton.
I
like you. Even though you're a baby. Britton's a baby.
I know, I'm only 22 years old. I don't know, I got the world in front of me right now.
You do.
That's what my family say. I don't know. That's could be true. But my cat's at the door real quick.
Come here, kitty.
Well, I'll just leave it open because my parents aren't here. But yeah, no. Yeah, I found your... Well, I saw you on another Discord server, and then you joined Jason's Discord server, and I'm like, hey, I know you. Like,
He's like, oh,
yep.
okay, yeah. Oh, kitty, the cat. Hold the cat up, please.
Oh, yeah, this is my kitty.
I love cats so much, but my dad is allergic, so I couldn't have them. And then I wanted to get a rabbit, because I was living with them at the time. They're not allergic to rabbits, but I am. So I got guinea pigs, and now I still want a cat, but I'm worried it would kill my guinea pigs.
Oh yeah, you have a guinea pigs. Oh yeah, you were telling us about your guinea pigs the other day.
Yes, I love my guinea pigs. Oh, I have their costumes too. So I'm gonna take them to school with me. One is going to be a Jolly Rancher.
Awesome.
Jolly Rancher costume.
Kind of looks like a sock.
Yeah, I don't know. And the other one is going to be a pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
So we're going to talk about the Curse of Macbeth with my class, because in their regular English class, they're going to be finishing up Macbeth, and a lot of them don't know that the play is cursed. Is this technically a theater? Do I need to, like, run around 3 times and quote A Midsummer Night's Dream? Let me turn around.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'll do A Midsummer's Night's Dream. If we shadows have offended, think but this and all has mended. There's the antidote to the curse. We are no longer cursed.
Yeah, I've heard. I was in theater for a few years when I was in middle school, and of course, us being dumb 7th graders, we had to try it out, and not try it out, but there were the kids who were like, "Oh, Macbeth," you know, and I'm like,
and it's like even actors who aren't superstitious just won't say it because it annoys other people. But Didn't when Chris Rock got slapped, didn't he had just said Macbeth a minute earlier?
I don't know. I know he made a G.I. Jane joke about Jada Pinkett Smith.
But I think he was doing a few jokes, and he said Macbeth loved it, and then he did the G.I. Jane joke 50 seconds later, and that's when he got slapped. And there were 3 female hosts giving that award or something, and Will Smith has the same initials as William Shakespeare. It was this is proof the curse is real. So my students are gonna make up their mind. Is Macbeth cursed?
Yeah, Dream from Morpheus from the Sandman put a curse on Macbeth when he made his deal with.
Yeah, but one girl, when I first started kind of telling them about it, one girl was based on what's in it, yeah, I could see it's cursed.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Scottish play is one of my favorite Shakespeare. So,
yes, I do love it. I think my favorite is probably King Lear. I taught Romeo and Juliet for a long time, so I have a soft spot in my heart for Romeo and Juliet. But probably King Lear would be my favorite.
You know what's funny about Romeo and Juliet is that we discovered in my class that there's more satirical elements to Romeo and Juliet, and I thought that I had discovered this new thing, and then my English teacher was like, no, they're Shakespeare scholars who know this. I was like, damn.
Oh no, that play is really funny, really funny, and Shakespeare was quite the misogynist, we'll just say that, but I mean, we don't need the ghost of Shakespeare.
Yeah,
in that play, the characters are, but yeah, no, we also watched a lot of versions of the movie, a lot of stage plays. We watched The Ball with Orlando Bloom, who did not make a good Romeo. Claire Danes did not make a good Juliet, but I don't think there's a better Romeo than Leonardo DiCaprio. He was such a good Romeo. Oh yeah? Who do you think did it better?
No, it's not that... Look, I love Leo, and I just don't like that movie.
No, that's fine. It's Baz Luhrmann. His style is weird. I don't really think it was meant, you know what I mean, to please the crowd. I don't think that's what he put it out there for.
Baz Luhrmann has those type of movies where it feels like you've just, partied so hard.
Yes.
And then you wake up the next morning and you're just you barely remember what happened. That's the essence of his movies.
Yeah. Well, Queen Mab in that movie is meth.
You get a hangover from watching that.
Yeah.
From watching that movie. For his movies in general, too, even Australia.
They're very weird. They're very weird. I would agree. He also directed. You probably were a small child, but he directed the 2012 Olympics too. The opening ceremony.
Really? I did not know that.
I think so. But I remember a lot of people were very displeased with that opening ceremony. I was at my friend's house in Rhode Island, and we were all like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, no, I don't watch his movies. I feel hungover. I've never actually been hungover, but if I have been, it probably feels like what I feel after I watch a Baz Luhrmann movie. Just exhausted and achy.
Headache and vomiting.
Yeah, and aching.
Migraines are basically really, really intense hangovers. So imagine a migraine, but not as bad. That's what a hangover would be.
Oh my
You got
gosh.
the sensitivity to light and sound. I haven't been hungover in a while, but yeah. Sensitivity to light and sound, and your head hurts, and you're not feeling well in your stomach. So yeah, I can totally see that after a Baz Luhrmann movie.
Yeah, I like, what's my favorite Shakespeare thing? I really enjoy Ron from Akira Kurosawa. It's basically the Japanese samurai version of King Lear. Very great film. I also really like... Did you see the Fassbender Scottish play movie?
I have seen some of it. I saw the Tomorrow speech. I need to watch all of it.
It's fantastic.
The new version. Is it fantastic?
I think it is. I think it's an underrated movie. I love the atmosphere of the movie. It's just
I love Fassbender. Who doesn't love Fassbender?
It feels like an acid trip at points. I love it.
This new one that is really kind of like that I started watching on Amazon, but I was cooking, so I couldn't really follow it and just never got back to doing it. I do also like Henry V a lot. I think that's a play that really deserves its hype. unlike Richard III,
I
which I
that
don't think
Rich
is very good.
Richard III is my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I think it has
very
good,
closely.
like,
It's very it's tied with Macbeth. I'll put it that way. What the fuck?
Whoa.
Wait a minute.
I saw it too, don't worry.
I just saw the balloons. Am I going crazy?
I know, I saw them too, don't worry.
Like, I just did this.
Talking too much about Baz Luhrmann.
Oh god, it's like Beetlejuice, you know?
Weird.
We've said his name too many times, he shows up.
But, okay, so Richard III is your favorite. I think that has good acting opportunities for men. Overall, though, I don't think it's the best written. Iambic pentameter is a little bit off. I will say Richard II is very underrated. And that's about Richard II being deposed, so being kicked off the throne. And Queen Elizabeth was actually queen when Richard II came out, and they censored it. They censored the deposition scene because they were worried it came off treasonous. Because Henry VII, or Henry IV, who took over for Richard, was the Duke of Lancaster, and Elizabeth was a descendant of the Lancaster line through Henry Tudor, so they were worried it came off like wrong and it would upset her memory of her father, so they cut it off. I mean, she was a descendant of both York and Lancaster. That's kind of how the Tudor house came about, but they were very strong, like, Lancastrian Tudors, like, Henry is the best. That's why they named them all Henry.
Yeah, no, so many Henrys. So many Richards. So many Edwards, too. My god.
I think there have been 6 Edwards.
My god.
5. No, 8. There have been 8.
I actually haven't, which is sad for me to say, because I'm a fantasy fan, but I haven't read Shakespeare's fantastical plays.
You haven't read A Midsummer Night's Dream?
I know of it. I haven't actually read through the whole thing.
I was in it when I was 12 and 13.
Oh, really?
I had a very awesome, one of the best teachers I've ever had. Mr.
Did you
play? If you're out there.
Did you play Bottom?
I had a very awesome theater teacher, and he put on a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I played Nick Bottom.
I said, did you play Bottom? And you said yes. I'm like, oh!
Yeah, you did!
Oh!
I thought you did, but I was like, I'm just gonna ignore that real quick. But I did play Nick Bottom, and it was really fun. It was so much fun. Like, obviously we were children, we were, like, too young to really understand what we were saying, but we had so much fun.
What did the parents, well, I guess they had video stuff back then. They're like,
I
oh,
don't
look
know
up.
if that play got recorded, but, I mean, the kids liked it, the parents liked it. We did the Three Musketeers. I think that one was generally more of a hit with the kids because they understood what the heck was going on. But,
yeah.
Yeah. It was over the top and crazy. But we had more boys than girls, so Puck was played by a girl, and we had to change the character Eugene into Eugenia, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was lots of fun. And after we put on that first production, our drama department just grew by a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess the ones I like from Shakespeare are the ones, like, about the really, like, nasty... I guess I like the really kind of nastier... Like, I like Othello and Macbeth and Richard III, where these just dastardly characters just kind of wrecking everybody.
They say, though, that the reason A Midsummer Night's Dream is the antidote to the Scottish play curse is because the witches in the Scottish play put in real, like, overarching throughout. There's, like, real spells and stuff being cast, and it's a very negative, dark energy that is supernatural being produced in the Scottish play, and it's, like, the total opposite in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Like, there's real, like, fairy magic woven in, but it's very positive energy, it's very happy. So to offset the curse of the Scottish play, you've got to quote A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, no, I wish we did Shakespeare in my theater. We didn't. We learned about him. We didn't do it.
Yeah.
It sucked.
You know, Shakespeare can be, I work in the inner city, and it is hard for the kids, and it's hard. It's a lot more work than I think teachers in the suburb at least would have to do teaching Shakespeare, but once they get it, they do really get into it. Like, they're loving Macbeth. But it does take a lot of extra work to sort of get these kids, because I think like 70% of our kids need English help. We have a lot of Spanish speakers, a lot of Asian, like I don't know what they speak in Cambodia, but that Asian language. And so they struggle with English, and then you put it's early modern English on top of a language that's basically a foreign language to us. So we're like triple translating, and it is hard, but it's fun hard. We'll put it that way. It's hard fun.
Well, I have to say, God, what's Spark Notes? Very helpful.
It is. It is. We essentially become Spark Notes. I remember I was basically like reading Romeo and Juliet and just like walking them step by step. This is what they're saying. This is what they're saying. Like, but it's really fun. Romeo and Juliet's probably the most fun one to teach just because it's so weird. And it's like, it is not a love story.
It's him poking fun at a love story.
Exactly. But I think it's like, I said something. I tell this story a lot because it was like one of the highlights of my career. One of the funniest things a kid has ever said. I was like, guys, this is not true love. Okay, Romeo and Juliet's not true love. And then I kind of said sort of to myself, I was like, I don't even know if I believe in true love anyway. And then this one kid is like, Miss Norman, why don't you believe in true love? Is it because you can never find a boyfriend? I was like, oh. And he's like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I was like, first of all, whether you did or not, that's the best thing a kid's ever said to me, so don't apologize. Like,
I would have been like, you know what, kid? Not bad.
Attention.
You gave him...
I did. I was like, oh. But I was laughing too.
What were the kids like? Oh!
I think they were more shocked than anything. So I don't remember much other than, yeah. But then I don't remember much other than him being like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, I remember we read the Scottish play in my high school English class, and it basically my teacher just gave up. He's like, okay. He just sat it down on the screen, showed it, and there was just the, here's what's saying, here's what they're meaning, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. We have on there, we have the original version, and then the like modern English version, but we also have a textbook, so they can refer back to that, the one that has both of them, like when they're doing their work, or when we're actually reading it out loud. No, we use the old one, but it's just there as like a reference.
Yeah, I like the language of Shakespeare a lot.
I do too.
Even though I'm like not the biggest like prose guy, though I did do a discussion with Jason on the subject, so maybe I do like it more than I would think. But I like how the language flows in his story. It's just like in his stuff. I mean, not his story.
Yeah, his rhyme schemes. I mean, he can nail an internal rhyme, and I get made fun of for saying this, but I am 100% serious when I say Lin-Manuel Miranda is the next Shakespeare, is the best writer since Shakespeare.
Wow, that's an intro. I'm not gonna say I disagree. I think he's a really talented guy, but the next Shakespeare, that's interesting. Why? Explain yourself.
All right, Shakespeare. We were talking about his history plays. Did Richard III speak in iambic pentameter? Did he talk like that? Did he talk in that poetic sense? Like, no. People didn't speak in iambic pentameter that way. It was poetry. It was poetry on stage. So Shakespeare took the history from 200 years ago or 400 years before and put it into the poetry of the day, which nowadays is hip-hop. Back then, it was iambic pentameter.
Oh.
So there you go. That's my justification. And yes, I said it until someone comes along that's better than Lin-Manuel Miranda. He is the Shakespeare of our day. Yeah, I said it.
I mean, have you ever seen the video Shakespeare and Hip Hop? It's the rapper talking about. Maybe I'll send you the video later, but he talks about a similar thing. He's like He's like, yeah, you can rap Shakespeare. And then he raps Shakespeare. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, wow, he just did that. I think it was one of the sonnets.
Yeah. Sometimes Shakespeare is such a big part of my life, let me be honest. But when we talk about, I don't know if I've spoken to you about this before, but I have kind of odd feelings when authors fictionalize real people. Have we discussed that, or I've talked about it with a lot of people?
Well, I think maybe you've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
I think when we were talking about like the Civil War, I think maybe you said that.
Yeah. So Philip Gregory is who I usually go back to about people who authors when they take it too far, of like too much changing up facts. Like when we look at her most popular work, The Other Boleyn Girl, there's so much in that novel that we know is just not true about the characters, but people pull the whole, well, that's where fiction comes in. I'm like, okay, well, at what point does, fiction just turn into, like, defamation? So it just, because these were real people, it just kind of, like, rubs me the wrong way. But then I'm like, well, Shakespeare did it, so...
Well, they are...
a lot in his plays to make it work.
They are dead and gone, so I'm sure they don't really care now.
Yeah, they don't. But, I mean, we've got Shakespeare's villain right there with Richard III. I mean, I hate Richard III. I'm pretty sure, I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that he did not kill his nephews. But have you ever heard of the Richard III Society?
Aren't they the people who are like, okay, he was not the hunchback guy from Shakespeare, okay? It's more complicated.
Yes.
I'm actually, like, one of the stories I would love to do in the future is a retelling of Richard III, except it's more, like, sympathetic to Richard III a little bit. I haven't seen anybody do it yet, so I thought, why not?
I mean, Hilary Mantel took one of history's biggest villains, Walter Cromwell, who's basically responsible for the downfall of Anne Boleyn, and a bunch of other people, and he wrote Wolf Hall, which is a sympathetic portrayal of him, which is something most people have never seen before. He's one of history's biggest villains, and so...
Even over Hitler and Stalin?
One of them. Well, obviously he came before, but he was Henry VIII's little hitman. Like, of course he wasn't... I don't know if you can humanize Hitler, but yeah.
Oh, well, you can.
So much...
Downfall did it.
Well, who did?
Downfall did it. While still acknowledging he was a terrible human being.
Yes. But, I mean, one of history's biggest villain, obviously not, I don't know, I wouldn't put him up there with Hitler, Stalin, those people, but, yeah, he's often villainized in fictional works, and maybe he wasn't really like that. Have you seen Wolf Hall?
No, I haven't tried Hilary Mantel yet. Maybe someday.
It's not for everybody. I call that book Booker bait at its finest.
What do you mean? What do you think? What do you think? What do you mean by Booker bait? Like the Booker Man Prize? You mean like that?
Yeah, the Man Booker Prize.
Oh,
that was like,
so like Oscar bait?
Yes, awards bait. I'm gonna write this novel. It's gonna win a Booker, a Pulitzer, and everybody is gonna love it, and I will be immortal. Like that's it. It really is kind of in your face with just how poetic and awesome it is. But I liked it. The miniseries has Damien, can't remember his last name. He was in Homeland.
Lewis, the guy who was in Band of Brothers.
Yes. He plays Henry VIII, and Claire Foy from The Crown plays Anne Boleyn, and Mark Rylance plays Cromwell, and it's amazing. It's really great. It covers the first two books.
Oh, yeah, it's also like Julius Caesar a lot. That's a good one.
You know, I don't have much experience with Julius Caesar. I often say when it comes to historical fiction and just history in general that Greco-Roman is kind of one of my gaps.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I did get obsessed with Pompeii, though, for a while, about how all those people died from the volcano. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Shakespeare, he fictionalized a lot of people. I mean, the real Macbeth was actually a pretty cool dude. Well, maybe not a cool...
Have you heard of Dorothy Dunnet?
Well, maybe not a cool dude, but apparently he was a nice king, so it wasn't like the unhinged maniac. He wasn't the Shakespeare play.
No. Have you heard of Dorothy Dunnet?
I'm afraid not, no.
She wrote a book that I tried to read. It was really, really long. I didn't make it through. I'm planning to go back to it, called King Hereafter, about the real Macbeth.
Oh, wow, that sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she passed away, and so did Hilary Mantel, but, yeah.
He's not an unhinged maniac in that story?
He's a douchebag, but I wouldn't call him an unhinged maniac. So, yeah. No, he's not.
That is one of the things, going back to the Fassbender Macbeth adaptation, he really conveys just how crazy Macbeth gets.
I think he's good at crazy. The only other thing I think I've seen him in is 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah, he was. Oh man, he was. Oh man, that's a harrowing film.
Yeah, that was intense.
He's terrifying in that movie.
He momentarily passed out after the rape scene.
Yeah, apparently, like he actually put alcohol in his beard to make him repellent.
Really?
Yeah, that is one of those just little things. I actually read the book that was based on, and apparently he was even worse. Apparently, the real Epps was even worse.
Probably, but I mean, yeah. So,
and Benedict Cumberbatch's character was actually pretty nice for the most part. Or that's what Northup said.
What? Who was?
Benedict Cumberbatch's character in that movie, the guy who's kind of not really down with it, but he still just goes along with it.
Yeah, I remember that, and he knew that Solomon Northup was more than he said he was, and then I remember the scene from the movie where he told him his real name, and Benedict Cumberbatch said, "Don't tell me that, and he was able to get him. He sent him on to Epps' place in the way, or in lieu of him being hanged or something.
Mm-hmm.
Also, really, in that movie, I think the guy who plays John Adams, what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Yes, I love his part in that movie.
Oh yeah, he's real prick in that movie. Oh.
Yeah, he is. But, he's so good in supporting roles.
Yeah, I know. He's good. He is very good.
Yeah.
You ever seen Sideways?
No, but I know I've heard of it. I know what happens.
Yeah. I was about to say he's really good in that. I remember him in Liar Liar when he turns blue. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
I like it too.
When Malcolm in the Middle turns him blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man.
I remember Amanda Bynes in that movie too. That movie was funny. I think I'm gonna watch Michael Fassbender, the Scottish play, before bed.
Yeah. You've been inspired now? Yeah. It is a really good film.
Is it? I wonder if it's the one that I started to watch, but I don't think so. What year is that one from?
It's 2015, I think.
Yeah, it's not the one I was gonna watch.
I know Joel Cohen made a version of Macbeth. It's all in black and white.
It could be that one. It's very art house, weird, huge technology production, but it was on Amazon Prime, and I couldn't follow it because I was distracted. But I've seen also The Hollow Crown. I really like the Richard II Hollow Crown. I don't like Tom Hiddleston as Henry V at all.
Not a Hiddleston.
Not as Henry V. He wasn't great, to be honest.
Fair enough.
But Jeremy Irons played Henry IV in that series, and that was pretty good. That play's kind of hard to understand, though, and I still need to see Benedict Cumberbatch and Richard III.
Have you seen or have you read Titus Andronicus? That one's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine because it's so
I've
ridiculous. And
in,
there's
like, the first act, 8 people die.
I know. Have you seen the movie and Anthony Hopkins is in it and he's just a fucking lunatic?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it.
I need to. I like the oldest Shakespeare movie I've seen is Laurence Olivier's Henry V, I think. Evidently, that movie is the most accurate depiction of medieval fashion.
Oh, is it?
A historian I saw, he did one of those reaction videos where it was like, he was just like, there's The Messenger, there's Game of Thrones, he was looking at the armor, and he was saying everything that was wrong with it, but then he said, Laurence Olivier's Henry V is like looking straight into a medieval manuscript. It's so accurate.
Wow, I'm not actually, like, I guess the oldest Shakespeare adaptation I've seen is, let's see, probably the 60s Romeo and Juliet one, the really melodramatic one with
1968.
that one
they're suing Paramount over.
Yeah,
Did you hear about that?
What?
The actors are suing Paramount for child pornography over the nude scene.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I actually read a bunch of memoirs in March, and I really love that movie. And yes, it is definitely CP or CSAM. I mean, we do see full-on topless kid who's 16, or 15 maybe, I don't know. But in the book, she talks about how Zeffirelli, like, harassed her and would scream at her, like, through a megaphone, like, Boobs McGee, it's time for your close-up type thing.
Well, that's not
to
good.
Get her ready for the nude scene.
Yeah.
Kind of funny story. One of the times I was teaching Romeo and Juliet, we always skip over that scene, obviously. But some kid decided to throw a fit, and I kind of had to walk out for a second to take care of her mental state. And when we came back in, there's just like a giant butt on the screen, and all the kids are like, "Whoa, what the heck?" I'm like, "It's just a butt. Y'all have seen a butt before." And so I had to pause it.
Oh, you mean when he's like looking out at the window and it's like ass cheeks or like just?
Yeah, but he's like in bed first, like he's lying face down in bed.
Oh yeah, and his ass cheeks are showing.
His butt cheeks. So it was like on the big smart board, just like butt cheeks. And I was like, guys, it's just a butt. You've seen a butt before.
I know, it's so weird. School's weird. They're like, all the kids are like, oh, we don't expect to see this at school.
Yeah. His kids are funny, but that was an awkward moment when I had to get the butt off the screen.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's definitely aged, but I'll take it over the Baz Luhrmann film, where it feels like
it's pretty good. It's weird, but I'm still gonna say it's great, and it's actually the last Shakespeare movie to ever win an Oscar. I don't know if it won.
I don't know. There's just a lot of overacting and just really melodramatic. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of that movie.
It is, but
like Tybalt, like.
Last...
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, in front of the windows. Like, oh, good morning. Here's my ass.
Yeah, and then he's like, and then he pulls out his guns. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But no, I think that the 1968 version is the last Shakespeare adaptation to ever be nominated for Best Picture.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's been a while. But Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet from like 1994, which is like 4 hours long, was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
That's very good. I do enjoy that film.
I like that film. What are your thoughts about Kate Winslet as Ophelia?
She's okay. She's okay.
Yeah.
This was before she really grew into her style and was like, okay, we got it.
It was.
You know.
I haven't seen a whole lot of Kate Winslet. I hear I'm going to watch the movie with her and Saoirse Ronan about the I guess she was a geologist. It's called Ammonite, or it's like an
Oh yeah, the
but yeah,
lesbian movie.
yeah, it's a sapphic love story. And evidently, you see a lot of Kate Winslet in that movie. Like,
I'm fine with
Kate
that.
Winslet gets naked all the time in movies.
Like,
evidently, this one is like extra.
oh yeah, it probably would have been NC-17 if it were in the States. To be all honest with you.
What, have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I do want to see it because it seems like a cool movie about a cool person, but I've read that it's been criticized for its historical accuracy, but I mean, her romantic life evidently is like a gray area. She never married, she didn't have any guy friends, and she was only ever, quote, tender towards women, so that, weirdly, I'm okay with, because if it's something we don't know about somebody, I feel like fill in the gaps with fiction. Whereas when we get someone like Philippa Gregory, who we know for a fact Mary Boleyn was not younger than Anne Boleyn, we know for a fact that Henry VIII really didn't care that much about her and had kind of discarded her years before his eyes fell on his sister, or her sister. We know for a fact Anne Boleyn's personality was nothing like what's in the movie or the play, or the book. So that's where it gets just kind of with me. But where it's something like Boudica by Amanda Scott, who we really don't know who Boudica was, or Philippa Gregory's novel about Anne Neville, we know next to nothing about Anne Neville, who was the wife of Richard III. We don't know much about her life.
I'll be right back real quick.
It doesn't go.
You can continue. I'll be right back real quick. You can continue what you're saying real quick.
Okay. Yeah, who we don't really know a whole lot about Anne Neville or who she was, what she was like, her personality, but when it's like that, where it's like an empty sort of space in a person's life, then it doesn't bother me. I've just spoken to myself for several minutes. Britton, are you going to come back in editing and see me talking to the screen? I'm just waiting for that to happen. Where's my...
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, she went to grab something real quick. Well, historical accuracy.
Sorry, I was getting your phone.
Oh, no, it's fine. Oh, look, it's one of the guinea pigs.
It is one of the guinea pigs.
What's his or her name?
It is one of the guinea pigs. Oh, this is Spaz. He didn't come with the name Spaz, but, I mean, he came with the name. I didn't name him. The rescue named him. Say hi. He loves computers, by the way.
Oh.
He likes to sit on a computer. But yeah, he was chewing at the cage, so I thought maybe he wanted some attention. But I needed to check my phone. And I am good.
No,
my coworker was texting me. So.
No, but yeah, no, it's, yeah, I know we've talked about, you're actually working on something about the Civil War right now, which interests me, because
yeah.
I am, because one of my big interests when I was a kid, and one I've somewhat I've maintained into my adulthood, is the Civil War, the American Civil War, that is. There have been a lot of civil wars, like, the War of the Roses was a civil war.
The Anarchy was a civil war that came before the War of the Roses, which is, have you heard of Pillars of the Earth? Have we talked about
I think I've heard of this before.
Yeah, that takes place during the Anarchy, which my ancestors were a part of. Last name's Norman Dynasty. But, yeah, that was kind of the very first War of the Roses. It was a civil war. It was a war about who was going to take the throne. Then they had another one in, like, the 1600s.
I think the 100-Year War was a civil war.
Is that considered a civil war? Because they were fighting over the crown to France. So they went over to France, so the Lancasters conquerors could claim their right to the British throne, or the French crown. There's that line from Shakespeare, what king of England, if not also king of France?
Yeah, no, but yeah, American Civil War is the one I'm talking about, and I read like the first 4 or 5 chapters from that book, and I enjoyed it. That was pretty good.
Thank you. I've done a lot of editing. I did change up the first chapter with Jason's help. So the first chapter is a little bit different, but yeah. So I wrote my Civil War one. I was kind of inspired to write that because of all the events going on regarding racism in America. I'm the descendant of a Confederate soldier, so that was kind of my vanity project to sort of make myself feel better. We'll say that. I didn't think anything really was going to come of it. But coming up for Nano, I will be writing about William the Conqueror's mother. And you said you had plans for Nano too, right?
Yes, I'm going to be starting my next novel, a Western, set in my home state. Should be fun.
Britton and I both love Westerns.
I do. I really, really do. I love Western movies. I enjoy Western. I need to read more Western novels, to be honest with you. Though, I don't really want to find, the stereotypical ones that are just bad and racist.
Yeah. I'm assuming you know of Lonesome Dove.
Yes, I'm actually hoping to read that next year, if I can find the time.
Have you seen the miniseries?
No, I have not. I've seen the Last Picture Show movie, which I thought was really bleak and sad, and I'm just I had to had to chill for a minute after watching that movie.
When I got done reading, so the ending of the miniseries is a lot more upbeat than the ending of the book. When I finished that book, I kind of just closed it and sat there for a few minutes wondering what I was going to do with my life. Because I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I've heard it be...
Also, little cool nugget, the Lonesome Dove Baptist Church, which inspired McMurtry to write Lonesome Dove, is located in my hometown.
Ah, yes, I remember you telling me about that.
Yes, I tell everybody it's our little claim to fame.
It's
like, I knew about Lonesome Dove before you did. I own Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, no, it's but I'm kind of frustrated that there's not a lot of quality Oklahoma set fiction. So hopefully, my Oklahoma Western will do well.
I really want to read that one. Was it the historical art when we did our little Red River rivalry thing? The one about Tulsa.
Oh, yeah. I actually, that's funny you mentioned that. I saw one of the books I mentioned the other day at my local bookshop, and I'm like, should I pick this up?
Oh, nice.
And I didn't get around to it, because, I don't know.
Yeah, I got you. I definitely want to read it. If I recall, I don't think it was really that long. I think it was, I don't know, I'd have to relook it up. I don't remember what it's called. You can rewatch the video.
Yeah, I mean, we have The Outsiders, and that one guy, Scott Namaday, I think is his name. And Woody Guthrie. That's our claim to fame. And Brad Pitt was born here, even though he was raised in Missouri.
Sorry, my guinea pig is nibbling on my nose.
Yes, I can tell. He seems like a spaz.
He's okay, spazzy. Yeah, he's getting... But he wanted attention. You want attention? You want to say hi to Britton? Say hi to Britton. I got to meet his cat.
Oh, no. It reminds me of, did you ever watch the, oh, dang it, The Wonder Pets? You ever watch that when you were younger?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's just like a bunch of, it's a bunch of guinea pigs and animals going on adventures. It's a lot of fun.
Oh.
They also eat lettuce, and that made me want to go eat lettuce, and then I ate lettuce, and it was disgusting.
I just fed this one lettuce, actually. Romaine lettuce. You should be full. Yeah. Romaine lettuce, they like bell peppers. Why are you eating my chin?
So,
I'm gonna go put them up real quick.
Oh. The algorithm just recommended me my own video. talk about that. I just have to mention that real quick before Amanda comes back. So, my algorithm just recommended my new video that I just put up about an hour ago.
Oh, recommended for you?
Yeah.
Mine does that too. Mine does that too sometimes. It'll be like, StrangeMentalityPaper just posted a new video. We're like, thank you. That was one, that was a day ago. And two, that's me.
Wait, so is your Civil War book done? Like, did you complete it, or are you still working on it?
It is done. No, it's done. I need to get more feedback. I've sent it in for queries, but not this draft. So the last draft I sent, I got a whole lot of, we appreciate your attention to detail about the past and the research, and as well as your willingness to address tough subjects, but I wasn't as hooked enough by the first pages. So I reread the first pages, and I kind of reworked a plot line with a character, and after getting some other feedback on the whole manuscript. And so now I'm on draft 3, and I'm going to need to get a little bit more feedback on this one before I start querying it, for real.
Yeah, no, I remember I was reading it, and there's one character's like, well, it's Lee and them and those slave owners. And I'm all like, did they really care about that? Because from what I've heard, not necessarily the North didn't care about slave. I mean, the whole situation started because the North and South couldn't get along over slavery, which,
Pretty much.
But he seemed a little...
I think they were a little more preoccupied with preserving the Union, and if that means getting rid of slavery, that's what that means. But from the research I read, most of the motivation for the North was just showing the South that, hey, you can't just break away because you don't like the results of an election, because Lincoln was an incredibly fervent abolitionist, and that's what he ran on.
Mm-hmm.
And the South did not like that, so when he was inaugurated, they broke away, and so they took him to war.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit, and it was funny, he was a bit more moderate than the radical Republicans, which is,
He was.
Sure.
He was. There are a lot of people out there. I'm not a Lincoln nut like some people are. Bill Rutenberg, who I'm name dropping again, but he has a great channel. Peg from the History Shelf, they both have great channels focused mainly on just reading history. Bill is very pro-Lincoln. Peg, I'm not sure where she stands. She focuses a lot on Russian history,
mm-hmm.
but I just don't know enough about Lincoln to call myself pro or anti-Lincoln. So
me, I'm more just anti-slavery. I can't find my slavery's pretty whack. Owning human beings is not cool. Don't do that.
No.
But yeah, no, the guy just going and literally just it almost felt like a take that to the lost cause. So were people? I was like, so were people really thinking I remember I texted you. I'm like, were people really thinking like this at that point? Because it sounds he sounds very well informed.
I don't know, I just needed a story.
I was about to say, this kid sounds really well informed for a backwoods bumpkin.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I totally changed out that first scene. It's totally different now. But openings in prose is one of the harder things for me. Screenplays is not really a problem, but yeah, getting that opening that sort of catches people has been one of my continual struggles in novel writing.
Speaking...
I'm more used to... I've only written novels since 2022, and I'm more used to short form, so it's a new thing for me.
Speaking of that, you did... I read a screenplay that you wrote, and I liked it a lot. It was about this lady, or this lady, I don't know. She's
21.
She's around my age now, so... She goes to a place in Oklahoma to do some stuff about her ancestor, and there's a lot of cool stuff with that. I remember I told you, I'm like, Yeah, there's this one part. It seems like there's like this big thing going on, and then it just kind of gets dropped.
Yeah, there is a scene though later on, like where she calls and reports it, but yeah. So that whole conspiracy that was going on gets resolved, but not in like a really big theatrical way.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just didn't notice it because I'll admit I was kind of reading it.
It was kind of a small moment during the clip when she's like doing voiceover over the closing. She just calls the police and is like, "Hey, I've got some information on a human trafficking ring in Oklahoma." And then in the final scene, which is basically the epilogue, we see in the library that there's some newspaper clippings on the wall about the role they played in bringing down the ring. So it's not like a huge climactic moment like the part where she almost kills herself on the highway, basically. Like, that's kind of the apogee of the screenplay, the climax. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's... I think that's...
I don't blame you. It's a screenplay. Reading screenplays and watching movies are two extremely different experiences.
Yeah, it's like reading Shakespeare when you could just watch him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think what made up for that was I was compelled by the lady's journey in the story. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Thank you.
Also, I remember I text because there's a lot of flashbacks with her dad, and it almost seems he's kind of like this pathetic figure. And there were some moments that made me really uncomfortable, and I was like, so was he molesting her? And you were like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, I think what you said too was like, I don't want to pity a child abuser, but I kind of do. And I sort of thought about that. I was like, well, pity's not really a good thing. It's not the same thing as sympathy. Because, I mean, it's
like,
not really
I felt sorry for him.
It's bad on you to pity a terrible person. Because it's like, oh, this guy's so awful, he could be living a different, better life and not be, like, I mean, I don't think pity is a good thing to have for someone. So.
I was kind of like, I kind of feel sorry for this guy.
Yeah, you can feel sorry for somebody because they're so pathetic. And, yeah, like, I don't think pitying someone is necessarily a good thing. I mean, you can have sympathy for people, but pity's not really the same as sympathy. Or empathy.
Well, I mean, I'm not like, oh, yes, this guy is just, he's misunderstood. It wasn't like that. It was more like, this guy is...
He's not.
This guy's kind of sad, and I feel that kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah. He's like one of those people that is so pathetic that it's scary. Like, how much lower can a person get?
Exactly.
It's the ultimate low. I think his demise is about as low as you can go.
And then it made me think, I'm like, so wait, did he love her? Or was it just kind of... Like, what was up with him?
I wrote it to where they were supposed to pretty much love each other more than anything. But at the same time, it was such a... Like, he did such terrible things. But, yeah, he did love her.
Just not in a healthy way, I see.
No. I mean, it was kind of like... I mean, what else did he have? He was a failed writer, and he kind of put all his hopes and dreams and pressure on her, and she was like the one good thing he had. And I guess every bad thing he sort of did to her was kind of like him doing it to himself. Like, I'm dead inside here. You have a life. You do everything I couldn't, or every time you screw up, I'm just gonna beat your head in. Yeah,
I remember it was just really uncomfortable because he was all like, hey honey, how you doing? And then just really weird. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
Because I've seen scenes in movies where it's like not totally not showing it molestation. I was like, so I texted you, I'm like, so did he molest her? And you were just like, yes.
Well, I mean, there are scenes of it like starting, like his hand going up her leg and stuff like that. So
I don't remember that. It felt more implied to me.
No, he was like, she, when she was a little kid, was sitting in his lap in his office, and he he has that line, "You want to hear a story," and then he like puts his hand on her knee, and when she's having like her mental breakdown, we kind of see like a flash in her head of his hand like sliding up, and like, no, there's not molestation on screen, but it's like getting there. There's sex though. There's lots of sex in that screenplay.
Yeah, there's one part where.
Yeah, that's probably.
There's one part where.
The most intense one I've written. That's definitely the most. I call that one a thriller, so like a neo-Western thriller. I'm mostly focused when I do screenplays on sort of smaller, quieter stories with like a quiet intensity, but not that one. That one's really intense.
Yeah, I was kind of disturbed by that. I'm like, it's kind of gross. I feel like taking a shower after that.
Huh?
I felt like taking a shower after that.
Yeah, good. I'm glad my writing did that to you. That was. If I can disturb people, then I've done my job. At least with a story like that.
Yeah, I remember I was like, man, there's not a lot of quality Oklahoma content. And you're like, here's a screenplay I wrote, and I was like, oh, thanks.
You said that. I was like, oh wait, no, I actually wrote a screenplay about Oklahoma. So yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'd see this movie, and you're like, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I was just channeling my darkness when I was writing that one, but I definitely have happier ones for sure.
Oh, I was gonna ask you something, but I'll ask you afterwards. It might be a little too on the personal.
Well, my favorite one I've written is about it's a teen drama about this 16-year-old girl whose mother is a drug addict addicted to, originally it was meth, but I changed it to painkillers due to a back injury. But to support her addiction, she cooks meth.
Oh,
and
shit.
The girl is
wow.
This academic yeah. So the girl, dad's gone. Eventually we find out he's in a mental hospital, so mom pays for the mental hospital with her drug money.
With her meth money. Her Walter White money.
Exactly. And, so she enters this academic competition to try to win some money and save her family's small business, and gets involved in a relationship with a college boy, and eventually gets her comeuppance on him. And it's this probably the funniest thing that has happened in regards to writing for me. I'm gonna plug myself real quick. That screenplay was a finalist in the Page Awards 2018, and so let's toot my own horn for a second. But I was working at a furniture store at the time when I was like conceptually coming up with it, and so I turned to my friend Joanna and I was like, I don't know what to name my main character. What should I name her? She was like, well, I've always been fond of the name Joanna. I was like, oh, that's what I'll name the abusive alcoholic mother. And Joanna just starts laughing, and then I turned to my other friend from the store, Debbie. I was like, Debbie, what should I name the main character? She goes, leave me out of it. So, the mom's name is Joanna. Thank you, Joanna. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, I've thought about writing a screenplay, but I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I want to.
It's really hard to break into. It's definitely something where only the 1% make it, which kind of sucks that that's like my niche. Like, when it comes to writing, that's what I'm best at, is like the one thing where it's almost impossible to make a career out of it. But hopefully I can sort of learn more about prose and
well, do you read a lot?
I do read a lot. I started
so there you go.
Again.
You're on the right path.
Yeah.
Because Stephen King once said, read often.
Yep. Read often. I think the quote is actually something like, to be a great writer, you have to read a lot and write a lot, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've started reading more back when I was just screenwriting. I didn't read anything but screenplays. So, but I used to think I didn't like reading, until I found books that I liked, because all the books I tried to read were like classics, and I couldn't do any reading for my
Well, they're
school
the good
because
classics.
it was also boring. And but I think the first book I read when I got back into reading that I really, really loved was Lonesome Dove. And ever since then, I just have always pretty much had a book in my hand. I've always been a constant reader since then. I made a Goodreads in 2020 and haven't looked back. So so hopefully I can get a fiction book published. I've had some stuff published in literary magazines, short works. Other than screenplays, I would say short stories are probably what I'm best at. But I am hoping to get a book. One day I will. I've had people tell me, like teachers, that it's going to take time, but eventually it'll happen.
I mean, what I've known from my time as a reader and writer, I try to pay attention to how stories work, I guess, and you kind of just go from there. Or maybe you'll see a scene that you like, and you're like, I want to do something kind of like that. You kind of just go from there.
The hardest part really is waiting. I've all my teachers have just said, it'll happen for you, but it will take time. And I think it's pretty much like that for anybody. It's like, because these agents, these publishers, they're not in a hurry. They've got stacks and stacks of papers like this big to read. Like, you are not that important to them yet. Like, they'll get to it, and if it's good enough, like, you'll eventually get one. And even if it's not good enough, it'll be right for somebody, but you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking of doing self-publish, because the book I've written is so just niche. Like, I don't know if like Orbit or maybe Del Rey would take it, but I don't know if like Orbit or Del Rey or any of those companies would take it.
One of the reasons I discourage like my students from going that route is because my biggest fear for anybody is putting a self-published book out there and it not doing well, whether it's good or not, because it's such a marketing game. And then them getting this label, which is like the kiss of death, called unsellable. And so then when someone tries to pick it up, it's like, oh, well, this didn't sell. You're an author who didn't sell. And your book could be the best thing ever, but if nobody reads it, it doesn't matter.
Well, you like my book. Well, what you read of it anyway.
I mean, I know. But that's the thing, is it's getting harder and harder nowadays to be picked up, for self-published books to be picked up and by traditional publishers. But a lot of people some people are successful. We've got Ryan Cahill, who's been a successful self-published author, but I just don't think the risk matches the reward in self-publishing. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's your career. But if your goal is to make it to be nothing but a writer, a professional writer, it's a tough route.
I don't know. I have a guy. He's a friend of mine, but I have a friend of mine who does edit, and he's looking over it right now. So, good.
Have you heard of Jenna Morency?
Yes, I have. Actually, I watched her for a while, and I just haven't gotten back to her.
Her voice. I can't stand her voice. I used to watch her, but oh my god, that high voice, like I'm cringing thinking about it. But she is a marketing genius. I think she actually had a masterclass about how to market books.
Well, that's really my work. I'm sorry.
She said she used to have like some tech job, and now she makes like almost seven figures. I've heard her books aren't good. I have The Savior's Champion on my Kindle, which I will eventually read, but the woman is a marketing genius. So if you want to learn how to sell books, watch her show. Watch her stuff.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my worry if I go the self-publish route is I am really shit at marketing myself. Well, I can... Well, I mean, I've gotten... Let's just say I'm not very good at it at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
It's not something I think about. I just kind of like, all right, here it is. I'll do a little promotion for it. If you want to watch it, go, so be it. But, I don't know yet.
And, here's the thing, too, about traditional publishing that to me is really appealing. the advance, they pay you up front, and you don't have to pay for any services.
Ah,
Yes,
but
you
that's
lose
such a
control over, like,
it's such a dice roll though.
it is, but also there's also the downfall of, like, you know, you lose control of the cover. Well, I mean, I don't care about the cover, I care about the story. Obviously, if the cover's hideous, I'm gonna be annoyed, but
Yeah,
you know,
I'm such a
and then
cover whore.
sometimes
Like I
they'll
don't.
give you an advance. They might even send you on a book tour. I have a lot of friends who are traditionally published authors, and it's really, it just looks like a cool experience, and it looks like a lot of less business work, but it takes time. So it's kind of like, do you want your book out now and have to market it and have to be a business person, or would you rather wait and then get money up front and possibly a book tour and just get a bigger team behind you to help you out with stuff you're not great at? But it takes time. So that's where I think the myth that it's hard to get published comes from. Because everybody I've spoken to says,
you know how many authors
it's not
I've
hard. It's just a long process.
You know how many authors I've seen interviews of talk about.
Have you seen what?
Have you seen? I've seen authors who I am very fond of talk about how many times they got rejected. I would not say it's easy.
Yeah, rejection is... Also, I sold insurance for a while, so rejection doesn't really bother me. I rejected a lot. I mean, it's
I don't want to say it bothers me. I'm just saying it's some hard shit, you know?
Yeah, it is. And it takes a toll. It definitely takes a toll on you. But you gotta send out a bunch at a time, and you gotta wait. And yeah, you're gonna deal with a lot of rejection, because not everything's for everybody. But in that waiting period, just keep writing. That's what I've done. And also, a good thing to do, too, is if you have short works, look at literary journals, because that will get, in your query letter, that'll get attention. So if you say, I've been published in, like, Colopsia, or Suspension, or Mocking Owl Roost, or Iowa Review, or whatever, those are kind of like buzzwords that you can put in there that'll get people's attention. So if your goal is to call yourself a published author, lit mags are a great way to go. Liam from Liam's Lyceum has been in a few lit mags. I think Punk Rock Cereal Bowl too has been in a few.
Yeah, I'm actually...
I don't know.
It's actually my next episode.
Fantasy, I don't write fantasy. I did have an idea for a fantasy story, but I don't think I have the mental capacity to come up with a magic system, so...
I didn't even bother with mine. I didn't even really bother with mine. I like softer magic anyway, so, you know, I'm fine with it.
I really liked the fantasy elements of yours. And have you read Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson? Andrew Watson is another booktuber, and I really liked his magic system. It was different. It was really different from anything I've read. It's where their shadows were enchanted, and they were a whole different person, which I found really cool. That particular book, I gave 3 stars because it was really kind of all over the place in the beginning, but once you get to the midpoint, it was like smooth sailing. So I don't know if that's going to continue through the next books, or if it's one of those series where it's like, no, you have to get halfway through the first one before it takes off. So the shadow magic I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I might have to check that out. It's yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would like for people to read A Plague of Nightmares. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it. Maybe I'll do like a more indie, either an indie publisher, or I'll just do it myself, because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just personally for me, and I mean, it's like, it's your career. Like, I often have trouble thinking that things I want is like the norm, that what everybody would want. I've gotten better. I've gotten better at no longer making broad generalizations. I mean, getting a little better about speaking in absolutes. I still sometimes need to work on the fact that just because I can hear someone talking doesn't necessarily mean that they're talking to me. Sometimes I find myself, like, I hear someone ask a question and I'll just turn around and answer it, and they, like, were not talking to me at all. I used to be really bad about that when I was a kid, but I'm getting better. I am working on it. But yeah, sometimes, like, it doesn't always occur to me that because I think a certain way, that means everybody else thinks a certain way. So
I've had
every now
that.
and then I'll, like, say something.
I've had that issue, too.
And people are like, where did that come from? I was like, what? You don't believe this either? What? Like, yeah.
I also saw that you've read Christian. You call it Christian nationalist literature for the lulz, I guess.
Yeah, that's the Left Behind book. No, that was those were book recs from a Christian nationalist woman.
Oh. Well, I was kind of looking at them. I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to read that stuff. But you know what? I'm glad that you were. I don't know if I want to say curious enough or stupid enough to read them. Because I do like you a lot, Amanda. I didn't want to sound like I was insulting you.
No, I read a lot of stupid shit, and I love it. Like, honestly, I think maybe I don't know if I sent you the video, but I recently learned that people who like this kind of crappy stuff actually are a little bit smarter.
Oh yeah, I think you told me that recently. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you the video though. Have you seen the movie The Room?
Is that the one with Oh no, is that the one Tommy Wiseau? Yeah, I have.
Yes, you have seen it.
Yes, a few times. It's
about like why people keep watching this movie if it's the worst movie ever.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to watch for one. I mean,
exactly.
you know.
And it's like people who like trash media tend to be a little bit smarter. I was like,
it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Yes.
It's wonderful. I love that movie.
The guy who is in that video, he explains The Room so well. He says The Room is like a movie by someone, is like a movie made by an alien who's never seen a movie but has had movies thoroughly explained to them. That's an
interesting way. That's a really interesting way to describe it. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that.
No, that's like a perfect description. You should also see Reefer Madness. It's about, like, back in the 30s, I guess, is when weed first started, like, taking a hold. So to show people how terrible weed is, it's like just these people going crazy from smoking weed. Reefer Madness.
Have you ever seen Birdemic?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that movie's so bad.
I love that. Do you watch the Everything Wrong with channel Screen Rant? Not Screen Rant.
I used to, but after a while I'm like, they're just nitpicking stuff at this point. It's kind of why I grew disenfranchised with Critical Drinker. Is the same reason. It's just he's just disliking things for the sake of disliking them. That doesn't interest me. I just kind of like you may say some spicy things, but I know that you're legitimately critiquing it. You know, you're not just being like, "Oh, this is bad," just to say it.
I can't remember the name of that channel, but I actually saw back when I was like screenwriting like crazy because I had nothing to look forward to in life because I used to just write to keep myself like sane because I was in school full time and working full time at a furniture store. So if I did not have writing, I think I probably would have gone crazy. But now I have just a better life. But looking back, it's like, how did I handle this? But during that time, I had read something about like the best YouTube channels for screenwriters to watch, and they were on there.
Yeah.
What is their name? What's their channel name?
I don't know. I
can't think of it. It's not Screen Rant. Screen Rant is good though.
Didn't you read one of Critical Drinker's books?
What was it?
Like,
what's their real name?
Will Jordan is his name.
Oh, it's called Cinema Sins. I don't know. I've read a lot of YouTube books. Will Jordan. I'm looking at his stuff right now, and I don't believe I've read any of it.
It must have been somebody else. I thought it was you. Maybe it was...
I've read Andrew Watson's book, and I read almost called him Philip Pullman, Philip Chase's book.
I'm gonna be reading that next year because I'm like, dude, I have so many books I'm gonna read this year. I don't think I'll have time. But
his book was really well written, but it definitely took something out of me. It was like was not easy. It was on a pretty high reading level, and it was just
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of a Tolkien-esque, where it's not the
a little, yeah,
not the easiest.
It's very dense, and I finished reading, and I was like, I feel smarter now, like because it takes like
yeah,
it's not like an easy read. It takes a little bit of thinking to get yourself through it.
Yeah, I mean, with my novel, I was trying. I'm sorry. Continue what you were saying.
Okay. No, it has a lot of religious violence, which I really liked, but it is pretty bloody. So, if people are squeamish, there's lots of blood, lots of violence.
I mean,
but it was kind of cool because it had a new take. Like, in that world, the elves are seen as evil, which isn't something I'd come across with fantasy.
Well, there are the Drow, which are basically evil elves.
Well, I haven't encountered that, but mostly when it comes, I guess fairies and elves are different. So I was gonna say fae. I've seen fae magic before, but
yeah.
I don't know. I read all of the ACOTAR books, and evidently the showrunner of Outlander is gonna make an ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, that I thought you said Avatar for a minute. I'm like, what?
No, ACOTAR, Court of Thorns and Roses. That is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I haven't read Moss because I don't know.
I can't take it seriously. I love
it. I like fantasy that feels like serious. You know, like I want to read like a serious experience. You know, like I like Joe Abercrombie and Scott Lynch because there's an art there, you know. I mean, with A Court of Roses and Thorns, it just looks like that stuff like book talkers talk about.
Yeah, and you know, I am not totally convinced that the author wasn't trying to be serious. Like, there's like that kissing the coronavirus that is obviously a joke.
Oh God, yeah.
But I don't think, I think Sarah J. Maas really was like trying when she wrote those books. I'm not convinced that she wasn't like really trying to do something.
I'll ask you this: like, what's the trashiest thing you've read for BookTube, or even in general? Because I am really, because you know you have a lot more tolerance for trashy content than I do.
Probably Electric Idol by Katie Robert. It was like, it's called her Dark Olympus series, and I actually made a video talking about pulp. Reads with Rachel did one about another one that I read that's like in the same series. It's like a Hades and Persephone retelling, but it's just sex. That one. But I read Electric Idol first, which was the second one, because I was doing like the boy band readathon, and it fit a prompt, so I did that.
You know, what's funny about Greek mythology stuff is, like, I'm not a big Greek mythology guy, but then you'll meet Jason, and he'll make me look like I love it, because he hates it. Like, he freaking hates Greek myth. Even when I mention, like, oh, the Devil in Silver is kind of playing with the Minotaur story, he's like, oh, fuck no, I ain't reading that. I'm like, it's subtextual, Jason. It's subtextual. Still read the book. I'm done trying to give him books to read, because every time I'm like, hey, I think maybe you'll like this, he's just like, nah. I mean, that's fine, but it's just frustrating, you know? I'm like,
everything, like I said, I did get really obsessed with Pompeii for a while, so I know a little bit. Never read the Iliad or Odyssey. Like, I'm thinking of making a video called Books I Was Supposed to Read in School but didn't, because I was that kid who never did the reading unless it was Shakespeare. So Iliad, Odyssey, Aeneid, didn't read. Pretty much everything I know about Greek mythology comes from Percy Jackson and Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh jeez. I like the Iliad and the Odyssey a lot. I think those are really fun.
I mean, I know the basic myths, like Persephone went to the underworld because Demeter, and that's why they have the seasons, because Demeter was sad, so it was cold, and she was Hades' prisoner, but she ate the food in their version of hell, the underworld, and therefore she fell in love with Hades. So, like, I know about that stuff. I know about Andromeda being chained to the rock and stuff like that. Is very basic. Jason and the Golden Fleece, all very basic.
I'm more of a Norse guy. I don't know.
Same. I love Norse. Anything to do with Europe, I really like. I like Norse mythology, and I probably didn't really get obsessed with the Middle Ages until high school, but it hasn't gone away. It's not like a phase like Pompeii was. Like, I'm still kind of obsessed with the Middle Ages.
I'll admit, I've kind of grown. It's weird because I'm both fascinated and I'm kind of bored with medieval, because like medieval is like all over fantasy, and I'm like, you know what? I like this, but I want something different, you know?
Yeah. But I love medieval historical fiction, and
I did read Between Two Fires recently. That was pretty good. That's a medieval horror book.
What?
Between Two Fires. It's a medieval horror story.
See, I think historical horror might be a new favorite genre for me. I need to read that. Between Two Fires. I'll remember that. I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, maybe I'll send to you later. You see if in case you forget. But yeah, it's about the Black Plague, and it's very biblical in theme as well.
Wrote it down. Oh, I love anything to do with the Black Death. I love it.
Oh, so it might appeal to you then. I don't know.
It probably will. There was an old movie that wasn't, well, it's not old, 2010, with Eddie Redmayne in it called Black Death. That was not great, but it was from like...
Oh, was that the one with Sean Bean?
I think so.
I think I've seen that. Yeah. That's funny. I've seen a lot of movies.
It was... Yeah. So, I didn't know that horror movies could be historical for the longest time until I saw that, but yeah.
You know, one thing I did really want to talk with you about today, was, I know you've stated in the past, I know recently you made a video about this exact subject, or, well, wasn't a video, it was more of a short, and it was kind of, I know you're kind of, you've been kind of mentioning your discomfort with, I don't know if I should describe it as AuthorTube, or you know reviewers and authors kind of getting along or whatnot, and I kind of wanted to talk with you about that because I know you've been getting some flack over that, and I don't want to mention any names though, but I thought we could have an interesting discussion on that because that was kind of interesting to me, because I've noticed recently this kind of the authors and reviewers are kind of, which, you know, I don't think it's always a bad thing. So I think our perspectives kind of differ on that. But I can definitely see where you're coming from. And that you're like...
Yeah, authors and reviewers spaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I call it.
Yeah.
I feel like the booktubers that sort of pal around with, especially with self-published authors, this seems to be a 100% self-published phenomenon. Because they don't have a team behind them to enact consequences when they insult reviewers. But I think when reviewers invite authors to, like, do live streams or onto their Discord or just, like, become friends with them, because authors know those reviewers on a personal level, they kind of seem... It can lead to an environment and a mindset, I think, where anytime an author gets a negative review, they feel personally attacked, because that line between reviewers and authors has kind of stopped to exist, and they see authors, they see reviewers as the people we are, not as kind of like an abstract idea of us working our profession and saying something negative about a book doesn't mean we're saying anything bad about the author. So I think when you blur those lines, the author can get this mindset where I got a negative review, that's an attack on me, so now I can attack this reviewer, which has happened to me.
Yeah, I know you've gotten into some spats.
Yeah.
I don't want to name
Yeah,
names, of course, and I'm sure you don't want to name names either. So, we'll keep it passive aggressive on this channel.
Yes, and I'm not the only one that's been getting hate comments and hate DMs and getting tweeted about. Like, recently, somebody who I talked to a lot just got a really bad hate comment saying that this kind of sci-fi is brain dead, and the fact that you are moved by it speaks negatively towards your overall intelligence.
Gee, what?
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to know what book that was, because I'm like, geez, that's like the worst thing you could say about sci-fi. What is these balloons? What are these balloons? It's not my birthday. It's my cousin's birthday. It's not my birthday, though. What are these balloons?
You said G's. If I say G's, will balloons pop up again? No.
G's?
G's.
I don't know. That was weird. Where did
But,
I did this last time.
I have been told by a YouTuber who sent me a hate DM that I should not go tarring all authors with the same brush. But, again, because I say, reviewers don't need to invite authors in, that's kind of like the things we do when we say not all men. Like, not all authors, but enough that it's a problem.
Oh, so you're quoting Reads with Rachel, I see.
Yes. From the video she did with me. Yes.
No, it's
yes,
she said
perfect,
that
Rachel.
she said that a couple of times.
I'm not like tarring all authors. I just think there's a line of professionalism. You're the author, I'm the reviewer. We have two different jobs that involve the same thing. We don't need to come together. I be friends with my doctors. I don't need to be friends with my students. And I feel like it's a very similar relationship where we need each other to survive, but we shouldn't be friends.
Yeah, I understand. So, like, I did a video with Jason talking about his book. Would you say that I'm being kind of irresponsible there?
Not if it's like a Q&A session or anything.
Well, that was kind of what we were doing. So yeah, I guess not too bad.
Like if it's an interview or something, but there are booktubers who have made self-published authors mods on their on their Discord servers, or they do a weekly, like just hang out with authors. Like, there's still a line, and I think it's okay if you primarily identify as a writer to be close with authors. But if you are just a reviewer who doesn't have the same respect and passion for writing, you are a reader and a reviewer, then that's where it's wrong. But if you review books, or if you are a writer that happens to also review books, then that's where it gets a blurred line.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, I
think if you read the book first and then become friends with the author, it's okay.
Okay.
But to have a bunch of authors whose books you've never read, you just know they're self-published, just crowding around you, and you're constantly like blowing smoke up their ass all the time, and just
I don't
with them. I think it's harmful to reviewers in general, because this sounds bad, but yes, it humanizes us reviewers in a situation where we shouldn't be humanized. Like, my students shouldn't see me as like a real person that they can hang out with outside of school. And I don't feel like reviewers should hang out with authors outside of school. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I get that, but I mean, there are some authors.
If you're a writer for writing advice, if you're working together and you just happen to also post book reviews every now and then, that's different.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just because I post book reviews. I've just started getting back into it, and there are authors.
Would I say you're crossing the line with Jason? I would say no because you're working with him writer to writer. He's looked at your stuff, right?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that you're crossing the line at all.
But if I had a video with him just talking about his book and like what he intended and what I thought of it, because that's kind of what I did with Jason when we talked about his book, Song for the End of the World. I don't want to pull it out at the moment, but
I'd say no.
Because I've thought about doing that with other authors as well, who I've become acquainted with.
Come together as colleagues, though, because you've worked together writing.
Mm-hmm.
I have not come together with other authors as a colleague, and I think if I had, then it'd be a different story. But if you're talking to an author writer to writer on your channel, that's totally fine. It's like, oh, here's a writer, he's published, I haven't published, we're at different stages, but we're both writers.
Mm-hmm.
But writers and reviewers are totally different ends of the spectrum. And I think when you get to know reviewers, and reviewers have created this kind of safe space, I'm not even going to call it safe space, an echo chamber of just goodness. Oh, we all love each other, and authors are good to talk to reviewers, and reviewers can talk to authors, and we love each other so much. What happens when you don't love each other anymore? That line is gone. So reviewers, they're just people, so they attacked me. They didn't. They attacked my book. So I'm just going to attack them. Kind of thing. And I don't really think authors should talk about their reviews at all. I think that's really unprofessional. As far as not going on Goodreads and not reading their reviews, as long as you don't talk about it, I don't see any harm in reading your own reviews.
When I eventually put out my book, I'm probably not. I'm gonna be really tempted because, admittedly, I can be like, ooh, what are they gonna say? But I don't know. I don't know.
I probably would read my own reviews too, but I'm not gonna post to all my fans that, hey, this one reviewer said this, and therefore she's dumb or something.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I'm not even going to invite that conversation. If I want to blow off steam, I will do something like a private comment on my personal Facebook page, or like a group text. Oh, look what this reviewer said. How dumb are they? And then all my friends can just pile in on the group text. Do something like that, but don't put it out there just for people you don't know to just start ganging up on the reviewer.
Yeah, I don't want to get roasted.
That's just classless. Don't talk about your reviews.
I don't want to get on authors behaving badly and have Rachel roasting me. So that would be nice. I don't want that.
Yeah, don't.
I don't want that.
Don't. You don't want her to say. You don't want to put out. Oh God, what was it? Soft dick energy or something. Small dick energy. Yeah, you don't want to put out some small dick energy there.
Yeah, but but if I'm worrying about it, that probably means I'm not going to do that. So I think that's a good sign. I think that's a good sign.
I am a person who will obsess over things.
I'm the same way, so it's fine. That's just
probably why when I get on something I like, I can talk about it for hours. Like, how long were we talking about Shakespeare? Like, yeah.
Oh, maybe like
Shakespeare pretty much every day because I love it so much.
That's funny. My previous episode I recorded, we had a discussion on what makes art, and we discussed Shakespeare a lot. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of come full circle. I haven't put it up yet. It's gonna probably take a few weeks,
okay.
But
Okay.
when I do put it up, I'll show it to you, and you can watch it.
Yay! Good.
But
yeah, if we want to go get into the whole what makes art thing, I'll just send you a Google Doc. Because I wrote about it in college. I wrote a whole essay. I was so pleased with myself that I made a full-on final turn paper revolving around dance moms. I was so pleased with myself. And I'd forgotten about it for a while. And so I was
oh
like,
no,
yeah.
did you say dance moms was art?
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
I'd have to go back and read it, but I don't quite remember what I said. I just remember turning it in and being just so pleased with myself. Being like, read this, Professor Dance Mom!
Oh, gosh.
It was in, like, 2017 when Dance Moms was really big.
But, I mean, I guess going back to, authors and reviewer spaces, as you call it, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, would you say it's crossing the line? Because, like, you know, maybe in the future, when I read Way of a Dan, I've thought about, like, you know, having authors on and talking about their work, not necessarily in a, not necessarily where I'm grilling them, like, hey, this book sucked, like, why did you write this? You know, nothing like that, or not even me just blown. I don't want to sound like, because I guess it sort of offends the, like, pride if someone goes, like, oh, you're just blowing smoke up their ass. But, like, I would
still say no, because you yourself are a very serious writer. So that's why I would say no.
Oh, okay.
You are not primarily, well, I mean, maybe on your channel you are, but I know your aspirations for writing and how seriously you take it. So, again, I would say you're getting with Philip Chase and all the other authors as another writer.
Oh, okay. But, you know, because I was like, more my approach, I guess, like, because I've only done one with my friend Jason, and it was more just like, why did you write it this way? It wasn't necessarily like, oh, man, I really liked your book, bro. You know?
Yeah.
Even though, like...
No, and to me, that still feels like an interview, so I would still call that an interview setting. But there are a lot of authors that just pal around and, yeah, hang out. But I know that you're a writer, and Jason also knows that you're a writer. So I feel like if you've got that serious writer element, you're not coming in as a reviewer. And what you've made it sound like is you're not coming in as a reviewer, you're coming in as an aspiring writer who wants to write and talk about writing.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I'm more... Well, about the craft, and I'm interested in why they made the creative decisions that they made, I guess. Yeah. And that's kind of what I did with Jason. Maybe I'll send you the video later. I'll admit I don't love the audio.
I went back and looked at a lot of your videos and saw that you had one with Jason, but just didn't watch it yet.
I'll admit I don't love the audio in the one where we talked about his book, but, you know, it's still fine. Yeah. But yeah, ever since I've watched that, I'm like... Because, you know, I may be positive on my channel, but I don't ever want people to think that I'm just blowing smoke. Because I am not.
You know, since the indie reader tag has gone around, there have been several booktubers who I had an issue with, or I'm even just going to say fall out with, for my calling them out on not being honest with... when it comes to self-publishing, who have gone back and admitted that they reviewed them differently.
Yeah, but I guess the point I was trying to make is I know you weren't really aiming it at me per se. That was just gonna sound that sounds really vain, I know. But but like I guess it's just like professional pride or something. But like I just don't. It's why me and Jason go at it a lot, because like I don't like sounding like I'm just blowing smoke. There are books, and I can find things to appreciate in them, and there are things that I will criticize with them.
Yeah. You know, Britton, it sounds like Jason, from what I'm hearing, you almost see him as a mentor when it comes to writing. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's to me not inappropriate. He's someone you know, and it sounds like you admire him and you want to learn from him.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's not inappropriate at all.
Yeah, so, he's gonna comment on this, being like,
Jason, I know Jason a little bit, not that much, but you've had him on your channel and you've spoken to him about writing. So if you're trying to learn from him, no, that's never inappropriate.
And I'll admit, like, I had problems with A Song for the End of the World. Like, there were some parts I'm like, what is going on, Jason? And he explained it to me. So there you go. It wasn't just like, oh man, this book was so good. You know, it wasn't like that. It was just kind of, I don't know. But it's just, I don't ever want people to think I'm blowing smoke, because I'm not.
No.
And
I never thought that you were.
And I hate and I really because there's the reviewers kind of like the critical drinker who just are just contrary just to be contrarian, and I'm trying not to do that, and I'm not,
I've never got the feeling that you were, probably because I've seen you put your writing out there for feedback, so I know you're not just wanting to come across as happy. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're trying to learn.
I appreciate
and try to make yourself a better writer and maybe a better reviewer, but it's authors or it's reviewers that aren't necessarily trying to improve themselves by becoming friends with these authors, and instead are maybe just going around seeking praise or trying to blow smoke.
That's a good way to blow smoke.
I have a serious problem with, and I'm not, like, obviously you can't be responsible for somebody else's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has contributed to the uptick we're seeing with self-published authors just leaving social media in droves, attacking reviewers, hate comments coming in to people who, I mean, goodness, like, why would anybody ever attack Liam? He's so nice. But
wait, Liam got attacked?
Yeah, he got a hate comment.
What? He's the nicest.
Yes.
Like, I haven't, like, I'm acquainted. I'm only acquainted with him, but like most of my conversations I've had with him, nicest guy.
No, he's been not yet, and it's like, it just seems like recently, and I've thought about doing a video called "The State of BookTube" or something, where there just seems to have been an uptick, and a friend of mine actually told me, kind of seems like every 3 or 4 years a bunch of assholes will kind of like weasel their way in and then just disappear for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just going through that right now. But I've seen on social media a lot of authors either leaving or being very rude on social media, booktubers getting hate comments, so the environment, or people losing subscribers because they don't post often enough, and it's just it feels like the environment's getting a little nasty. I don't know what it is about books that if you say something negative about a book, it hits so hard as compared to
I mean,
sports equipment. Like, I don't know. I hated this baseball bat. It was awful. It splintered too easily. You're a bad person.
I mean,
like, why is it only book reviewers?
I think it's an emotional thing, I mean, I get it on some level. I mean, you put a lot of time into something, and then, like, you get, like, nitpicked, and you're just like, well, this must mean I suck, or something like that. I know you said that, like, I know you said it's not.
You take your phone, and you group text your friends, but you don't take to social media.
Well, yeah, of course, I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm just all I'm trying to say is I can understand, but at the same time, that doesn't mean I have to condone it,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's understandable, but that doesn't make it reasonable.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I wrote a novel recently, and let me tell you, it took 6 months out of my time. It took a very long time. Yeah. And
my Civil War novel took me over a year, maybe even a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half to write. Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time to write a novel, and that's why I feel like what you do with your writing really matters, and I don't want people to sell themselves short by going a route that may not work out. It's out of compassion. I often use, have you seen the movie Spotlight?
Yes, that's a great film.
The journalist
that is a great film.
Exposed those priests in Boston that were raping kids. A year earlier, a very tiny newspaper that no one read, has no power, did an expose about it, and no one cared because no one read it, because no one saw it. And then Spotlight does it. They have the power. The Boston Globe has the power. It changed the world. Imagine if that had come out a year sooner. It could have saved a bunch of lives. And that's why how you treat your writing, to me, really matters, because you never know who your writing might affect. So do the best thing for it.
Yeah, no,
Maybe to some people that is self-publishing. If you're a marketing genius like Jenna Moretzi, I think she's probably gonna get more books to more people herself than opposed to a marketing team, because she's just so great at it.
Yeah, I mean, if I self-publish, I might give to some people honest reviews. I like honesty, so you know, don't blow. If you like it, that's great. I'm glad you do, but don't just be like, oh man, it's great.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, well, why? Why do you? Because I hate those Goodread reviews where it's just incoherent, just like, oh my gosh, incoherent gushing basically, and like there's a bunch of gifs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I've left a couple of those because it's like immediately right after I finish the book. Usually, if I'm reading on my computer, I do a lot of computers. Like if my mind is like blown, I leave
the id takes over.
Yeah. No, where's one? I wrote one recently. I'm pulling up my Goodreads where I think. Yeah, let me find it. I gotta scroll down a little bit. Okay, here it is. This is for A Breath of Snow and Ashes. I had no idea what to think. Okay, how do I even rate or review this book? It took me a year and a half to read, but Jesus, I think that's all there is to say. This is the darkest, thickest, with 2 C's, thickest, most twisted, and yet somehow uplifting Outlander book. And it might just be my new favorite book of all time. That's exaggeration. Or I might hate it. I don't know yet. Malva's brother, fuck me. So that's my 5-star review. I'd say that counts as incoherent and gushing. Because my mind was so blown, but,
That's why I wait a few days or weeks or however long, and then I go, okay, here's what I think in ordered fashion.
I don't.
You don't?
Because I mean, when I talk about books, it's usually like face to face, so I'll go more in depth. I'm not like you, Britton. I don't write really, really in depth reviews. I tend to give really off the cusp, just straight up thoughts immediately after I see it. And most of my actual reviews are verbal. I don't take a lot of time to write out my my Goodreads reviews, obviously.
So if you publish your book and it was on Goodreads, would you leave one being like, "Hey, check this book out. It's my book."
Would I?
Would you
would I leave an author review?
Yeah.
Curious. Make a funny one. Like that one, when we were doing our thing, and I was scrolling down and looking at it, and it said something like, I might be a little bit biased, but this book changed my life. And I was like, oh, interesting. You go, yeah, that's the author. I would do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing I was thinking of doing something kind of like what Philip did on his Goodreads, where he's like, man, this is the most impactful book of my life. Totally not biased, winking, and he's winking super hard. I would do something like that.
I would do something like that. I would. But hopefully I can come up with better. I don't know. This book changed my life, but I might be a little bit biased, but this book changed my life. That's pretty brilliant. That's hilarious. I'd do something like that. I would.
No, it's I would probably do something like that, or maybe be like, oh yeah, well, I wrote it, so here you go.
And my computer is down to 23% battery.
All right, well, I mean, I usually go for about 2 hours at longest. We're approaching that point, and we've actually gotten to that point, so and also I probably need to eat soon, but thanks, Amanda, for coming on. It's been fun.
No problem. Anytime you want to chat again, I'm good. And if you would maybe edit out some of the name dropping.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I don't want to.
Just use your best judgment, because people might come after you for some of the stuff I say.
Yeah, I don't want that happening. No.
Yeah, I trust you. Look out for yourself first. Choose what goes in here.
I know. I'm really lazy. But you said some spicy stuff I'm going to take out of here. I need to take out of here, because I don't want to...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Use your best judgment. Protect yourself. Yeah, you'll be good.
All right. Well, as always, if you have any social media, feel free to share it real quick before we get going.
I have a YouTube channel, StrangeMentalityPaper. I do have a TikTok that I'm putting some of my shorter videos up. It's at Strange the Teacher. And then my Twitter is just, I think it's at Copyright Amanda. I've had it since I was 16. But you can just look up Amanda Norman. And then in parents, it'll say Strange Mentality Paper. You can find my stories published in Bright Flash Literary Magazine. You can find it in Colopsia Literary Magazine, Mocking Owl Roos, and Suspension, if you want to read my stuff.
Yeah, she also wrote some screenplays, so if you ask her, maybe she'll give some to you.
Yeah, yes, I might send them. You can also find my profile on Coverfly, which is, I'll send the link to Britton because it's just a bunch of like letters and numbers and it's not like an at thing. But a lot of writers, even who aren't screenwriters, use Coverfly, so we can do peer-to-peer feedback on there. So I guess I'll send it to Britton and he can decide whether he wants to put the link in the description.
All right then. I guess that's it. Thanks for coming on, Amanda. I'm sure we're probably going to talk some more after this. So yeah,
yeah, sure thing.
All right. Well, until next time.
All right. See